So, Brian, we know that your company focuses on managing natural resources across Africa and obviously investing in various projects. What have you seen by way of investment within the natural resource space? And I mean, John Louis was saying that it's going to force us to move away from the extractive industry space. Where does that leave oil and gas and other commodity sectors?
Obviously, a lower commodity market environment has retarded investment and development in those sectors that are suffering from lower global prices. But I think it's worth us stepping back from my own business and my own interest to look at the positive side of a lower oil price environment and commodity price environment, because it does have a positive side for encouraging and catalyzing the type of developments and evolution of African growth that we've been talking about. You know, oil, I don't believe, has been a curse for those countries that have benefited from the oil boom, as some people have suggested. It has positive impact on building government capacity and building infrastructure and building a rich elite which can participate in the next phase of funding and developing the economy's diversity. But it has been a drug, and it has been a drug that has retarded the paradigm shift that is underway in Africa, which is a paradigm shift away from growth-dependent or focused on foreign direct investment and growth directed and focused on extractive industries, and a paradigm shift towards economic growth that is driven by local innovation, local and regional investment, and partnerships of equals with foreign players in service industries as opposed to purely extractive industries that do not add value or create economic benefits in the local countries beyond the specific extractive operations. And therefore, it's actually an enormously exciting and positive time, despite the stress that businesses such as my own, and we are in natural resources in mining and oil, but also in financial services and technology and transformation, transportation and energy, and therefore we're not subject to all of the negatives of the present market conditions. But we are, I think an example perhaps was of where we're going in terms of a new model of African development is the announcement we saw yesterday of the creation of Fly Africa, which is an African response to an African challenge that creates an African opportunity that was a product of an African entrepreneur, Ivor Ritchie-Kovic, and African President Ali Bongo here in Gabon, looking at the desperate need for cheap regional and domestic air transportation links across the African continent.
And oil prices are low now, so I think it'll benefit.
Sorry?
It'll benefit the company because oil prices are low now as well.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
So they're positive spin-offs. And that's, obviously the next phase of their development will involve international capital. And, the Boeing jets that the company flies are built in Seattle, but it's an African solution to an African problem, creating an African opportunity. And that's the future, that will be catalyzed and made quicker by a low oil price environment, despite the pain of us weaning ourselves off a drug that governments and systems and structures in oil-producing countries have become dependent on.
And that's a good point. And again, we have to mention, we're worried about oil producers on the continent, but at the same time, Africa is still a net oil importer. And in fact, we see a lot of subsidies across the board. So low oil prices are generally very good, especially for growing countries. I know that we have